Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering the LEC Spring Split for Week 1. My guest at this time is none other than Mikyx of FNATIC coming off of their victory over GIANTX in the opening match of their run in said competition. Mikyx, thank you so much for the opportunity for this quick interview. It's always good to start off a given split with a W, but nevertheless, I gotta ask you the usual question, usual opening question. How are you feeling after this match?
I guess more like relief that we won, I guess, because I expected us to win, obviously. And we showed some decent stuff that we've been working on in scrims, mostly around the dragon setups. So it was good to get some practice of that on stage as well, because those are usually the ones that stick in your mind more. So overall, not bad. And yeah, despite being sick, I survived going through it, because I think I've actually never played on stage when I was sick. So I was a bit worried how it's going to go.
Well, at the very least, we saw some history play itself out. History, in quotations. But it's always good to see you perform well despite those circumstances. I mean, walk me through the entire series overall because like game one was much more clean compared to what we saw from Fnatic in game two, especially at the very tail end of the second game. We saw a little bit of a pushback from GX, possibly hinting towards a push to the third game. Obviously, I didn't have you guys were able to close that out with a few skirmishes and a few momentum swings to your favor. Um, in a general sense, how do you kind of look at the series, and what do you feel was the biggest obstacle that you felt the team faced from GIANTX?
Mm, I think early games were pretty decent. Maybe game one, I guess Skarner got a bit behind from the early game, but other than that, I think all lanes were going pretty well, and we got to get the objectives that we wanted to get. Like I think all of them we just traded, and we got the ones we wanted to. And then the first game we got actually some plates with the grubs that we got, so that went pretty well. And then team fights, I think we just played them kind of solid. I think I got caught like twice in the first game, which is not optimal. But yeah, other than that, I think that game felt pretty smooth. And then game two, I think it was just decent early game. We got like a kill mid early, and then we just kind of played for Drakes while they played for the grubs, kind of reverse from game one, and we just kind of kept stacking them. And then I think we did some good, good game plans around the third and the fourth Drake, because I think they lost a lot on the map when we were doing for that, and they seemed a bit lost when they were trying to contest these objectives. They didn't really care too much about the waves, which is something we talked a lot about during our preparation for Spring Split with the addition of Duffman. So, okay, I'm back. I think my mic just died a bit, but
Yeah.
is it cutting out as well for you?
All right, so apologies everybody. We encountered some technical difficulties, with the setup over in Mickey's room. Now he kind of moved over into another room. Hopefully, it should be fine. So, Mickey, as I asked you about the Drake management focus during the break, how has that kind of thing been going for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think as soon as Duff joined, we started focusing a lot more on it, because he noticed that there was like a big aspect of why we were like not doing as good before. So yeah, I think that was kind of the main thing we were working on, and I think we showed some good things today for it. So yeah, I'm happy about the progress.
I mean, at the very least, there's you're looking at the progress at the start of a new split, so hopefully, we could see some corrections on that front in due time. And I kind of want to pivot over to a different aspect regarding this interview, more so just looking at the takeaways from Winter Split, given that you guys were pretty close to qualifying for first stand, fighting for the LEC title. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen for your case in losing out in the lower bracket finals to KC. Um, how do you kind of look back on the team's overall performance in the winter split and kind of just focusing on the adjustments from like losing that KC series in playoffs up until now? What do you feel was been the biggest takeaways that you have made from that time?
I mean, I think for me at least, throughout the whole of Winter Split, like in regular split already, even though we were winning, I still felt that we had a lot of issues in terms of how we communicate in the game, and how we do like dragon setups, for example, or just how we played the game, like micro-wise. I feel like we had a lot of different ideas. so we're not on the same page very often. I think that also contributed a lot to our loss as well against Casey, because it's not like we didn't have like leads in early game. Like for example, game two, especially against Casey, we had like a very strong lead, but we just managed to throw that away because we just had a lot of different ideas and people were not on the same page. And yeah, so I think that was the big thing to work on. I think the lane swaps also made it like very annoying for us to play the game because there's just like so much more stuff to talk about early game instead of just like having a normal plan that is like just sound and stable. You talk about so many different variations and possibilities. So that for sure makes it a lot easier for us because I think also our strengths are in laning, especially like bot lane and top lane. I think it's way better for both of us if there's no lane swaps in the game. So yeah, I think that's the big takeaways from winter that I had at least.
With KC winning the LEC in Winter Split, kind of they're now seen as the new bar to overpass or to surpass in this current split and everything beyond that, of course. And also given their performance in First Stand, I'm kind of curious on how you, as someone that has been representing the LEC various times throughout your career, how you kind of view their performance in the tournament while also seeing the current level of the LEC compared to the other major regions in in the league. So how do you kind of look at Casey's performance in First Stand in Korea, and also where does that leave the current level of the LEC right now compared to the other leagues?
I mean, I think their performance was not good, but also not bad. So they were kind of just like fine. I expect them to win at least against NA and CFO, but at least they won against top, so that's nice. And they won two games against HLE, I guess. But I still think overall, as a region, we are a lot further behind LCK than it was shown. And I'm not sure how top esports always manages to choke it, but I think overall LPL should be stronger. So I guess we'll see during MSI. Um, but yeah, I think K Corp did all right considering the circumstances, but I also think their road to the finals was quite easy. So yeah, I guess they did all right, but I don't really expect them to, you know, be as good for like going forward. I guess I think a big attribute of how they made it the first set was I think lane swaps. I think they covered some of their weaknesses. So yeah, I'm wondering how they're gonna do now going into the next split. I still think they're a good team, so for sure top three they're gonna make it. I just don't know how they're gonna do like internationally if they go again because yeah, they're just decent.
Well, at the very least, we have plenty of matches to play from now until the end of the spring split and getting over to MSI and all that stuff. Appreciate the your thoughts on that. Another topic I want to ask you is sort of the switch in the format. Of course, I'm gonna ask you about Fearless. At the start of this year, it was kind of expected for Fearless to only be present in the first phase of the year, first third of the year through First Stand, and then obviously with the conclusion of First Stand, we're going to see Fearless happening throughout the entire year. I just want to know your thoughts on just sort of the Fearless draft remaining for the rest of the year, and how would that affect your team's play, the rest of the LEC's play, and also like its effect onto the general meta so far.
I mean, personally, I like Fearless Draft just because I like playing new stuff, and Fearless gives more options to play new picks. So for that aspect, I'm like happy with it. I guess the games will probably look a little bit lower quality because in the past you could just kind of practice the same kind of team comp and just execute it similarly on stage, and like your item spikes, or like how you want to set up for objectives, like how you want to play fights. So it was a lot more structured, I guess, because people could just like practice, for example, three different compositions, and then for best of five they could have three different playstyles or three different ways to win the game. Now it's a lot more random in that regard, so probably the quality will drop a bit, but I think it makes it a lot more fun to play and a lot more fun to watch as well. So for me, I think it's a good change, but yeah, I guess maybe not everyone feels the same.
One more question I want to ask you before I wrap this up, more so just now looking back onto the state of the team, with plenty of matches to play, a long journey to from now until the start of playoffs, and also possibly, continuing that journey into MSI and all that good stuff. What do you feel the team has to focus on or more so address the most for this split that you feel, once you guys have that checked, it'll start to lead to good results?
Um, I think the big thing for us would probably just be like awareness of what is happening in the game, or like, how many people are showing on the map, how aware we are if we're like in a winning position, if we need to go for extra plays to win the game instead of just like taking it slow and we're winning already anyway. So I think just like awareness in that sense would be a big thing that would win us a lot more games, because we do have a tendency to get like overhyped and like throw games or like just be impatient basically. So as long as we can work on that, I think we're gonna probably win. Yeah.
Of course, hopefully that does happen in due time for your team and also for yourself, Mickey. Gotta give you the thanks for the interview, answering all my questions, going through all of the mess that we went through in the lead up to this. And so much appreciated. And of course, gotta give you the best of luck for the road ahead.
Thank you.